Good morning. It's Ginny and Tim at DS Tech, and our topic today is antivirus crash course. And the reason why this came up, I was staring at this question because people ask all the time, what antivirus do you recommend?
Yep.
And it's a lot. It's not a simple question.
Don't use Norton anymore.
The answer is not simple anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll dive into that and tell you what you should do instead of antivirus, actually. Yeah. Right? Or in addition. Okay, so we'll dive into that. Drop your questions and drop the word help if your business needs help getting a system in place for this.
Yes.
Which Tim is going to talk about too. So what antivirus do you recommend, Tim?
Well, it's a fair question, and unfortunately, it's not the right question anymore because the term antivirus is kind of outdated. Typically, there are a lot of times to say like next gen AV, where it might be using some machine learning and AI with it too. But realistically, the latest and greatest is like they call it EDR is the new antivirus term. So endpoint detection and response is what it's termed. There's a couple different players out there. At DS Tech, we have one vendor that we really like on all of our clients. It just kind of depends. There's like 2 or 3 really that are out there that are really good. And we can definitely set you up with that. And how it works is it goes beyond just scanning files and actually monitoring behavior, because once it's on your system, not only is it looking for, say, a bad file, you click the link, you download a bad file, it scans it, it'll do that type of thing as well. But it actually looks for they call it like living off the land, or basically doing things on your computer that are normal functions, but it's kind of weird, So an example would be on your computer. Maybe there's certain commands you can run as a tech that will do certain functions to help your computer. Well, those same functions can be used in a way that may try to give them more data, or they're kind of scanning the network to see what else they can get away with. And so they're using tools that are built into the computer used for techs to troubleshoot and to help, but they're using them in a kind of a malicious way. And so it will look for those behavior indicators and say, hey, look, this computer, it's running this in a weird way that it shouldn't be. Like, this doesn't usually happen. So what's going on here? And it will actually indicate that, not just a bad file. So it goes beyond just bad files. It looks at behaviors on the computer to maybe let you know if someone's on your computer, not with a bad file, but maybe trying to do something maliciously, and it can prevent an attack or ransomware, because a lot of files on your computer may actually start running those commands in a weird way. So it just helps. It's better detecting for that. And so it really, so threat monitoring, real-time alerts.
Is it kind of like my security camera when it sees something
like
that's not normally there? It alerts me on my phone. It says,
yeah, exactly. It's
motion
motion
detected.
detected. So same thing. It'll be like, I won't say motion detected. It'll be more like, behavior detected.
Yeah.
Like, there's some behavior in your computer that's outside the ordinary. Why is your computer all of a sudden starting to scan all the other computers on the network? Did you have a scheduled scan for this,
weird.
Or what's going on there, right?
Okay.
So things like that, it will look for and see and indicate on top of just your antivirus. You can take that a step further from EDR, endpoint detection and response, and what DS Tech actually implements is an MDR solution, because that EDR solution is actually monitored, hence the MDR, 24/7 by a security team who is watching it and can respond to it no matter what time it is, because your business, most businesses 9 to 5-ish, in that time frame. Most attacks will happen either on a vacation, after hours, because they realize they're going to try to strike when you're gone. Same thing like an attacker is not going to break into your house. They see a bunch of vehicles out front and the lights are on. They're going to wait till it's nighttime and dark to strike. Same thing with the attackers. They try to do after hours during low business time. And having that monitored detection and response, they can take action. If they see some computer is starting to scan the whole network and do weird behavior, they can instantly cut that computer off from the rest of the network and separate it remotely and do various things to stop the spread of something happening for you.
So that's like me. I'm the security team. I got the alert. Now I call 911. There's somebody trying to rob my house.
Yeah, you're motion detected. You look and you're like, oh yeah, there's a guy with a hammer and he's at your door breaking windows, right? So then you take the next step. That's what the security team is doing, is they'll look at the log, be like, oh look, this computer is scanning the entire network. It's doing something it shouldn't be doing. That's weird. Then they inform and like, yeah, that's not normal behavior, and then you shut it down and stop the behavior from happening and spreading. So
cool.
Yeah, basically that's kind of similar to what the SOC teams are doing with it. And it talks about patch management. Many breaches can happen through unpatched software. So realistically, the next gen antiviruses too, the MDR and EDR software, they can look at existing programs and maybe behaving weird. Like Google Chrome, maybe your Google Chrome isn't on the latest version, and there happens to be a vulnerability where if an attacker gets on your computer, they can make Chrome do something bad. And so a typical antivirus is going to be like, well, Chrome's just doing something. Chrome's allowed on your computer.
Right.
But because Chrome is doing something that it shouldn't be doing, like why is Chrome scanning all of your files and all this other weird stuff going on, it can detect that behavior and then again shut that behavior down because it's not within the normal bounds. It talks about what today's need. It talks about backup and recovery. Obviously, you want to make sure you have really good backups as well because, worst case scenario, something manages to get through all your layers of defense. The number one go-to is to restore to a point in time prior to the attack getting in. So usually a tech team will review the logs. They can look at when the attack happened, try to find that initial point of contact, and then roll back to a point prior to that because that's just what most things will do if they ever get ransomware or some sort of horrible event happens. That's typically what you're doing is you're restoring from a backup, and then you're creating a clean computers, and you're creating new computers one at a time and restoring your environment to the whole. And then same thing with this talks about email security. Most attacks will come through your inbox, and yeah, your typical antivirus may be able to scan the attachments and things like that, but it could be a regular attachment that is doing some sort of behavior maliciously in the background that not old antiviruses are going to look for, and the next gen can look for those behaviors. So if it's starting to do weird behaviors, it's kind of using machine learning and AI, so where if something is happening, it can detect that, and then it actually will learn from all the computers in the wild what's happening. So if there happens to be a nuanced brand new attack in the wild, they have so much data points, they can actually see it as malicious. They will actually go to the cloud and update your definitions in real time, multiple times throughout the day even. So like the old day of antivirus, you think about, start my computer, update my antivirus, and it downloads the latest version of what's bad, right? And it just keeps building a library of bad files. Well, the latest ones on your computer, they might do that multiple times throughout the day automatically in the background as new threats are being detected. It's automatically giving you the latest live updates and definitions automatically. So you don't have to manually update your antivirus. You may need to update the version, or the text will do that for you to be the latest version with the latest features. But in terms of your antivirus definitions, now with the latest software, it could be multiple times a day based on everything that's happening, and it's giving you the latest data right away in real time. So I guess, should you try to do all this yourself? The short answer is probably not, unless you super nerdy, you like to do all this stuff, maybe go for it. But my advice is if you're a business, rely on an MSP or reach out, and someone like us can help you with that. We'll get you the best antivirus that's out there. And, knock on wood, I haven't seen, one of our clients with this latest antivirus get breached or have a horrible thing. Hopefully this stays the case too, but it seems like the latest trends in these antivirus really can stop a lot of stuff, especially when you layer it with other things like this. Talk about email security, obviously training of your employees not to even click the link in the first place. That's the most important part. Things like that. You don't want to just rely on the software, be like, I can hire people that'll click everything because I got the software. That's not the way to think about it. You still want to prevent it from happening in the first place. So
because bad stuff can happen.
So we can help businesses implement layered modern security solutions that will actually protect your data without turning you into your own IT department, because the whole point of having DS Tech is so you can rely on the
you can run your business.
Right? Try to keep your contacts, grow your business, whatever you're doing, and then let us handle the IT so you can just focus on in better areas. So
absolutely, we're good at it. So what about at home?
At home, that's a little bit more
Windows
tricky.
Defender?
Windows Defender is actually pretty decent. If you have a modern Windows operating system, I do recommend just have the Windows Defender. Is actually pretty decent. There are some free ones out there. I don't know what's realistically used. Honestly, on my home computer, I just have Windows Defender on, and I unfortunately to the point where I'm smart enough not to click bad things, or decently at it.
Yes,
I still
I've
click bad things, but I'm pretty good at navigating the internet to avoid something. But now if it was an elderly person's computer, things like that, it may be worthwhile Googling just best free antiviruses 2025 and checking out. I haven't really looked into the latest and greatest ones recently for the consumer aspect, so I apologize. I don't have specific ones there.
That's
okay.
But
all I use on my
I sprung the question
is
on
Windows Defender. I just do Windows Defender, and I just know that's I'm not going to be doing things, and I regularly check my system, and I actually take my system and I wipe it once a year just to keep it fresh and do various things. So I know that it's probably okay. I'm a weird, unique use case, right? So as a regular consumer, I'd recommend do some Googling. There's probably a lot of recommendations out there for personal use, not business.
And use a browser with an ad blocker, right?
Definitely, that'll stop a ton of stuff. if you have an ad blocker, a script blocker, and unfortunately the old ones like in Chrome, like the uBlock Origins, don't really work as much anymore. So what I've been telling people to do is there's a new browser out there. It's still based on Chromium called Brave. It comes with a built-in ad block. You can even get a version for your Android phones and things like that, and that will block a lot of scripts and advertisements.
I think DuckDuckGo too, right?
Yeah.
I think.
DuckDuckGo is a search engine, so.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So that'll.
Oh, okay, because I have that as a browser on my Android.
No,
I don't know if that's
maybe they have a browser now that goes
But I
with
don't
the
know.
search engine. I haven't looked into
I have
that.
Brave on my home
Okay.
computer too. So yeah.
Definitely.
Anyway.
What I would recommend to some people, it'll kind of get you that first initial free layer because a lot of the scripts, malicious advertisements, we did a whole episode on that too. You can look into that.
We did.
That's how they can come into. So just having those multiple layers is the best way. So.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you, Tim.
At home, Windows Defender and Brave. That's all I do. So.
Yep. Me too. That's what I have. And then of course I have Password Keeper.
And I save all my stuff on home on a separate external hard drive. So if the worst case scenario happens and my computer is infected, none of my data is actually ever taken, I might just wipe and reload. That's how because I've had it in the past. Like I call it the Great Computer Crash of 2005, where I lost all my photos and everything wasn't saved, and it was pretty sad. So I learned from that mistake. And,
all my photos are automatically backed up to the cloud.
Yeah.
So
nowadays,
there's that too. Anyway, that's beyond what we came to talk about.
Yes, I know. We're going down a sidetrack here.
I did it. I distracted Tim
okay.
down the little side path, but maybe we'll do an episode on stuff like that. So we answered that question. What antivirus should you use? And the answer is call DS Tech.
There you go.
Because we have a whole stack.
And it varies depending on use case. Every business is a little bit different, so we can tailor the solution to meet your needs. So
we do. Yep, we have all kinds of different kinds of customers that we help, and we'll take care of it. So drop help, and I'll get in touch with you, or go visit our website at dstech.net, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe. Oops.